Welcome to the Wildspire Conversations podcast. You get to be a fly on the wall for my intimate coaching sessions with inspiring entrepreneurs who are changing the world. I'm your host, Stephanie Benedetto Padovani, wild creation coach and soul storyteller at The Awakened Business, where I help coaches, therapists, and creative entrepreneurs craft an irresistible message and broadcast it to the world. In each conversation, I'll ask curious, playful questions, challenging us to connect with the deeper purpose and joy of what we're here to do. We may experience one or more of the following: articulation of their soul's message and mission, life-changing stories, insights, ahas, and wisdom nuggets, ideas for new products, services, or businesses. Truth is, I have no idea exactly what will emerge, because there's no agenda for this conversation. Anything can happen when we step into the unknown of infinite creativity, and that's where we're going to play. It's time to get wild-spired. My guest today is Kellie Hansen. Kellie worked in the television and film industry for all of her early adult life. While it was exciting and glamorous, the fast-paced and stressful lifestyle left her completely burnt out emotionally and physically. Constant exhaustion and frequent illness were her life for over 2 years. The fatigue was so debilitating that she had to stop everything to get well. From that moment on, Kellie dedicated her life to finding balance and optimal physical and mental health. She made a choice to heal herself by becoming a naturopath and a life coach and turning her life around completely. Kellie comes to me in this conversation with the question, what are my next steps to reach more people with my services? What unfolds is the alchemy of creation in Kellie's life that's already been at play almost without her full awareness. As we put together the pieces of the new offer of the different modalities and how they might come together in an experience that's one of a kind that allows her to use all of her talents, skills, and resources along with intuition. It's incredibly inspiring and also a model for you in whatever creations you might have in your life, because you can do it differently. You can do it your way. The clues you need are already happening in your life right now. I invite you to join me for this conversation with Kellie Hansen. Kellie, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm really excited for our conversation.
So am I. Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie.
I always show up and I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen today. Let's see. So the beautiful...
I'm just as curious.
Yeah, it's like, what beautiful soul will I be joined by today? So Kellie, in this moment, as you kind of check in with yourself right now, what is there a question that you'd like to ask of the universe or of yourself or of me? What comes to mind for you?
I think, well, the thing that just kind of dropped in then was maybe what's the next step in being able to reach more people and help them to, find their own purpose and, how to share. Now it's really one of my passions is to really help to support other business women to really find their passions and purpose in life and to really pursue them. So I think, it's great sort of, where I'm at, but I'm getting the feeling that maybe that, I need to at least be open to how that could be expanded.
Cool. So an expansion of what you're doing currently right now with businesswomen to help them find their passion and purpose in life. So tell me a little bit about that, Kellie, if you would. What are you doing to help these women right now? Like, what do they need and what are you doing for them?
Sure. So I'm a fully qualified, degree qualified naturopath, and I've been working for the last 3 years in my own private practice, just as a naturopath. And then I went on to become an internationally accredited life coach, mainly because I have a particular interest in fatigue and, just why do so many women feel tired, all of the time and burnt out. Rarely will you come across a woman who's, will say, oh, I feel so energetic all of the time. And, they're always juggling all these balls with particularly business women, of business and children and all of those things. And as a naturopath, what I was finding is that for a lot of these people, a lot of these women, there actually wasn't really too much wrong in regard to, say, their pathology or their diet. But what it was really, what I have found is the missing link is that it's really more like lifestyle practices and being overwhelmed and stressed. Yeah, and so I really got into exploring the importance of, mindset and perception, because we will all have all these things going on. And so really the only thing that you can control is your reaction to it. And so that's kind of where this other side of my business has grown, I guess, in that, I like to support women to maybe view their lives in a different way, or to become more aligned with the things that make them feel good, so that life in general is just easier and more enjoyable, really. And then very recently, I've also taken on running women networking, like women in business networking events. And again, that was to really, first of all, get women together and to really connect, but to connect from a heart space, like legitimately, connect from the heart, and also to provide a platform in which women can be seen. So, if I'm working with a certain woman and, that's one of her fears, is this fear of being seen, then, she might end up being the leading lady at my next event, for example. I'm going to support her to push through her fear of being seen.
So are you noticing in your business, because it sounds like you've been in a transition and there might be another phase to this transition that's happening. Is that kind of what you're sensing? I mean, it sounds like that's kind of what I'm starting to get. Maybe. Okay, would it be cool to explore that a little bit and see like, what's in this? Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
So you're finding, from what you said, you're finding that these women who come to you, you're using your tools as a naturopath. There's nothing really wrong with their diet. There's no pathology happening. And yet they have no energy. They're burnt out. They're not feeling right. And what you're seeing is that it's really about more mindset and perception, how they're dealing with stress that's creating, and they're not really, like, their life and their life choices are not fully aligned. And that's what you're being drawn to help them with. So are you still using your naturopath tools as a way to help them, or are you feeling drawn to like leave those behind? Do you want to keep them in your toolkit? Like, where are you with that? I'm curious.
Such a good question, Stephanie. It's been something that I've really been, it's a grey area, let's just say that at the moment. So I felt very drawn to actually do a lot more on the coaching side of things. And naturopathy did really kind of drop off. But then clients will come and see me and they just want a naturopathy consult, and then we get great results. And so I kind of go, oh, okay, that's really beneficial. Like, maybe I still need to keep doing that. So I think that you've kind of really touched on something in that, I'm still finding where everything fits together, and does it all fit together? I'm still kind of working that out, I guess.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like you still find value. There's still something in it. My sense is that it's going to work its way out. Like that's just kind of, it's, I have been in this place too where like, oh, all of a sudden the tools that I was using don't seem quite, but I don't want to just like throw them all away, right? And you don't have to do that. Like you have these beautiful tools. If it's appropriate, if it's aligned for you to do that, you'll know it. And you don't know it right now. And that's cool. Like you can keep it right exactly as it is. Cool. Because even if you just choose at some point to kind of shift a little more into the coaching side, your background as a naturopath is, first of all, it comes, there's a certain thinking, there's a certain skill set that you have, there's a certain way of being holistically with people that comes with, it's with you regardless, even if you're not practicing in the same way. Plus, it's also from a marketing point of view, a part of your story and what makes you different, and it's a gift. So all of that, positive. Like I see it all as positives. And it will, and you'll discover it as you go. So I'm wondering, so what is it that keeps you from reaching more people right now?
As you just encountered in the lead up to this beautiful podcast, it was, my technical abilities are somewhat, there's definitely some room for improvement, but I think as well, I think it's a mindset shift as well of, we just get used to, I guess, or, maybe I'm coming from a place of playing small and playing, within my own backyard, and that, but I'm feeling like that doesn't necessarily have to continue to be the case, but certainly expanding to, say overseas or anything like that is, would definitely be new territory for me.
Okay. So first of all, what does it mean to reach more people? Like how many more people? How many people would you like to reach? Like what are you currently doing now, and what would be like a cool step towards reaching more people?
I think this big shift to moving to more of an online space, traditionally, particularly, when I was working just as a naturopath, it was very much, in person, face-to-face, one-on-one. And that has been a big shift and a big change in my business and the way that I work, really since the start of this year. Where instead I sort of shifted into doing group coaching programs, and I'm definitely seeing that just because something is online, it doesn't mean that you can't have that connection and that energy exchange. So that's really kind of opened my mind up a little bit as to the potential of how many other people I could reach. And when you say, well, how many do you want that to be? I don't really have a set number. I'm just more about, I think there is a certain woman who will want to connect with me and who I will want to connect with. And I guess I'm just more open to that could be from anywhere. I don't want it to necessarily be, limited to my home ground, I guess, or it doesn't have to be.
Cool. So tell me about this networking group, Kellie. What is these business networking events? What are you doing?
So, so a friend of mine has been running these networking events for the last 5 years. They, on the other hand, quite conversely to what we were just talking about, are very focused on local, like supporting a certain area of South Australia and supporting business women, entrepreneurial women within that area. And so, as I said, she was doing this for 5 years. I have kind of come to a few of these things, and I sort of mentioned to her a few times, would you ever be interested in, or could I take this on but do it in another area, or, and she was very much like, no, this is my baby. I've got a specific vision. I don't really want to do that. And then at the end of last year, she decided she wasn't going to do these events anymore. Her business was moving in a different direction. And she was inspired. She thought that was just going to be it. She was just going to wrap it up. But she actually went, maybe somebody could take this over. And so she put that out for people to do an expression of interest. And I was, one of those people, and she knows me, and she knew that I'd had an interest in going down this road. And even though it's quite a new part of my business, that I just felt really passionate about doing it. And anyway, so I ended up being the person that she chose to do that. Unfortunately, that was only a matter of weeks before our COVID lockdown and the end of in-person events. So I've actually just scheduled my first event, which is going to be in August.
Okay, so this is an in-person networking event. And
Yes.
Are they happening monthly or how often?
Quarterly.
Quarterly. Okay. So we've got quarterly events. What do you think about the idea of doing, and I'm just curious about this, of actually doing remote events in between? So having like a quarterly local event in person and then doing them perhaps monthly, or do you think that the women who are involved in this might be interested in doing something in between?
Yeah, I've had like a few ideas around that kind of, floating around in my head. And I guess I haven't landed on something specific just yet as to what that looks like. Like I've had a few people suggest to me, doing my own podcast, and that's, or something similar. And I don't know, something intuitively is saying to me, podcast isn't it, but it's something, and it's something similar, but that's not it. So I'm just kind of still toying with what that might be. But I definitely think it would be something where, like a very collaborative space, where it's about, yes, bringing these women together, and that it's not necessarily about these women coming to hear what I have to say. It would be about coming to hear other people's stories.
Okay. So you said in the beginning that you're really kind of feeling drawn to help these women find more of their passion and purpose. Even in your current coaching, it's shifted a little bit from the naturopath background to more mindset and perception and dealing with stress and aligning, like kind of like looking at what do they want? Is that kind of part of it? Like what do they actually want? So what would be the most inspiring thing that you could help these women to do? Like thinking about the people who've been coming to you and like, what would be really fun to help them do?
I really think it's breaking through fears, identifying, so certainly in my experience, like in my personal experience, and now, in my experience as being a coach for other business women, is I would say that the number one roadblock to actually, reaching your goals and living this life that you want to create is it's stopped by fear. And that sort of, that self-doubt. And so I'm wanting to really create spaces in which women feel comfortable to give that stuff a go, to, to be seen and to be heard. Because, how do we run businesses if nobody knows that we exist? You need to be seen. And so for as long as that's a fear of yours and you're worried about it, things are going to get stunted, or you're certainly not going to, get to those big picture goals that we all have in our heads. And, I guess I don't want women to feel like someday I'm going to have, this big business and this success and all that sort of thing. Because I'm a bit more now like, well, if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm.
Like really you just need to get started and take action. And fear, will dissipate with action. So any environment that I can kind of set up, I think, where women would feel brave enough to, give that, to test that stuff out.
Cool. So where are these, like, what are these women saying in their heads? What's happening in their lives when they come to you? They're feeling burnt out and overwhelmed. They're lacking in energy.
Yeah.
And then, like, what's happening that has them seek you out? What do they say to you?
I think it's mainly that, as I said, that they've got these aspirations, they've got these desires, and they've got these goals. And I think deep down inside as well, I think that there is something that's telling them that there is a better way. Like you don't have to live in this, constant fatigue and overwhelm. And, anxiety is huge. I just see so many women now with this constant sort of generalized anxiety. And so I think they are maybe reaching a point in their lives as well where I think they're having that realization that if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know how to take the next steps, or they need someone to support them and hold them accountable. Yeah.
And what do you do for these women, Kellie? Like when they come to you and they're saying like, they're tired. I'm tired of feeling fatigued. I'm tired of feeling overwhelmed and anxious. There's got to be something else. I have these goals. I have these dreams. And I have this feeling inside of me that, now I can't wait anymore. I don't want to wait anymore. So what do you do with them? How do you help them?
So I really like to work with the women to first of all find out what, I guess what is their soul drawing them towards? Like what is it that they are passionate about? What is it that makes them feel good? And I guess the basis of all of my coaching is reviewing all aspects of their life and having a look at how things make them feel, and any things that are not making them feel good and expanded. Really, we want to sort of look at how do we either start to, remove those things from your life, or at least limit them. And, these can be all different things. This could be that you're in a job that you hate, or this could be, a relationship, or, it could be any number of things. But the more of those things that you have in your life, they fatigue you. They make you tired. They make you stressed. So it's definitely about identifying those things and reducing their influence on you. And I guess if you can't remove them or limit your exposure to them, then it's going to have to come down to mindset, and you're going to need to come to a place where you can change your perception, or you can set boundaries so that thing or person is not having that kind of energy draining reaction with you. That you've found yourself and you've found your purpose, so you're able to kind of keep yourself, I guess, a bit protected by all of these external factors. And then I guess on the flip side of that is obviously, working with them to identify what they are really passionate about and what makes them feel good. And, can we bring in more of those things? And generally speaking, when women become really aligned with what they're really passionate about, and normally it's something that will relate to their own personal experience, then they just take off, and then I think when your passion or your drive to bring something to the world is so great, it'll be greater than your fears. And so even though you have fear, you will still take action because it's so important to you. So I guess I just try and shift women towards that.
Okay. So you have this first networking event coming up in July, you said? You just scheduled it?
In August.
Yeah. Oh, in August. Okay, in August.
Yeah.
All right. So this sounds like it might be, what if it is, is this an intimate group or is it a larger group who comes together? It's almost like I can see them supporting and cheering each other on, kind of maybe doing exercises or explorations together. And then as a group, each of them actually gets to share like a bit. So you're using, as you said, using the group that you're creating as the platform for them to actually showcase and have their first steps towards the thing that they really want to do, which they're probably not yet quite doing in the way that they'd like to, right? Like they're not quite aligned somewhere. So, okay. So they get to kind of go on this journey. It kind of feels like it's a tight-knit group. It's an intimate type of group, right?
Definitely.
And I imagine that they kind of they need to meet fairly regularly. Is it weekly?
The women in this group, not everyone, but we do all tend to come together for in different ways. So if it's not for this event, then we really are more like a sisterhood. And so there are groups of us that do get together on a monthly basis, and we just check in with our own heart space and then make our sort of monthly business plans from there. So we do come together, as I said, on a monthly basis. And I think now that events are, sort of being able to, or in person, things are starting to open up again, I think that, yes, this group of women will come together more and more frequently.
So is there more than one group that you were talking about? Because you were talking about the quarterly networking that you've inherited and will be starting in August. Is this another one that meets this, that you're referring to as the sisterhood that's monthly? What is that one like?
So that is still run by the woman who I took over this networking event from. So she still does these group catch-ups, I guess, if you will, or check-ins every month. And then there is another woman within that group as well who took on another aspect of her business that she was wanting to pass over, and that's also events-based. But that's quite different in that it's more, like master classes kind of thing. So you would go there to learn a business skill as opposed to my type of event, which is definitely more about connection and being seen.
Okay. So this is where I'm getting like, okay, this is where you're kind of leaping off into something new, right? Like it's kind of like the seeds of it are here. It's been pulling at you. You see elements that you like, but it doesn't sound like it's going as deep as you really want it to, right? Like one is just networking. The other is going into business skills. And then there's this check-in, which has potential, but it's not really, like this feels like more of a journey. Like these women are all going somewhere. Like they have an exploration of themselves, and then there's a connecting with what they desire, what they'd like to create. And then there's a letting go. And then there's like a sharing. There's a moving forward to be seen. So
Yeah.
there's sort of stages in this, right? It sounds like a journey. And what is your sense? Like, does this want to happen in person, or does it want to happen online, or both?
I think both. Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's been something definitely really toying with at the moment, and particularly because I'm putting together what will be my next sort of group uh, program. And I think that's the thing, because there are that real benefits of in real life, in person experiences and connection. But at the same time, I think online also has its place, and I also think that while it's lovely to be able to connect in person, the realities of everybody's day-to-day life is maybe not going to allow for that kind of time. Like the coaching that I do is very I would say it really is a deep dive, and it's a real kind of fast track. So it's weekly, and I think sometimes where I'm at now is I'm thinking that parts of that at least can definitely afford to be online, because I think that there's as the women work through their workbooks, there's going to be a lot of stuff that kind of comes up. So, it's really just holding space for them. And if they want to do that within their own time, I think that that's fine and that's doable. And so that can definitely be an online, part. But I think, as you said, it's a journey.
Mhm.
Like, it is a journey, and so I do feel like maybe that needs to culminate into something that is in person, so that when we get to the end of this journey, and it's a journey that we've all shared together, wouldn't it be nice to actually get together like in person?
Mm. Yeah, there were a couple of experiences that I've been involved in. One in particular last year, where it was a 6-month experience, and we had a week together in person at the beginning, and we had just 2 days together at the end. And in between, we had online virtual meetings, and we had them both individually, like each month we were connected with a buddy, and then we also had a group. So it was sort of, the idea was in the beginning, we kind of formed bonds and, got to know each other and created that connection. And then throughout the journey, as we were each having our own experiences, we were also supporting each other and sharing as a group and learning as we go. And then at the end, it was like a culmination or a sharing. So there was very much a feeling of camaraderie and connection,
Mm.
and mutual support that was above and beyond. It wasn't just um, the teacher or the mentor to the student. It was, each of us had that relationship too. So what I'm wondering is what if in August, when you have this new event coming up, and how many women will you have typically at this event in person?
Well, it's a bit hard to say. So traditionally, there would normally be about 60.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, because we've got restrictions around, with COVID, so at the moment it's sitting around 30, and that's the maximum I can do at this point. But I'm just rolling with it basically and
Yeah.
adapting it as things unfold.
And how big is the network of women who have attended this networking event in the past? Like, is there an email list that comes with it or something?
Mm. Yeah, so there's a private Facebook group that I
Mhm.
run that's associated with this group of women, and there's roughly like 800 women in there, and then there's a database as well on top of that, which would be I don't know, another 400-500 probably.
Okay, so we're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,200. people, something like that, 1,200 women.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's a nice pool of people.
Yeah.
So what if this next step, what do you think about the idea of I don't know, it might even be rolled out before August. If you did it in conjunction with, so I'm trying to think, like, it feels like August is a nice, like, what if you made it available, you're going to have 10 or 12 or however many women for this experience. And it's an experience where, okay, it's for women who have desires and goals and something bigger. It's like something bigger in your life that you'd like to create. And you're having that feeling of, you're overwhelmed. There's anxiety, like you don't know quite where to start. Like, what do you do with this thing? But something's telling you, if not now, when? So join me for this journey. Join me and 10 or 12 women, however many it is, to first explore and discover what your soul is really drawing you towards, what really lights you up, to reconnect with your passion and what makes you feel good. And then review your life right now, honestly, to see, what's working for you and what's not, what's making you feel good and what's not. And then let go of the things that aren't working for you, like discover, like go on this journey of letting go of things that aren't working for you, and the things that, and the things that, and the places where you need to shift so that you can change the way you feel about it for the things that you're keeping, right? So in other words, you come out of this having identified what you're really passionate about, aligning your life with those things so that you get to do more of the things you're passionate about. You let go of the things that you're not. You have a clear path towards what you'd really like to create. And so that you can be visible in the way that you want to be, so that you can have the success, so that you can achieve the goals. And you do this in a very comfortable, safe space where you get to discover and try this out with the support of this amazing group of women who are on the journey with you.
Spot on.
Yeah, so it's like a combination of, maybe if you did it in conjunction with a networking event in August, it could be either, is that usually just like a few hours kind of event?
About 4 hours.
So you could do it. I don't know what this would look like. I'm just tossing some ideas around.
Yeah.
How big it is, how much it is. Like, you could play with this. You could make it really simple, or you could make it bigger, like whatever lights you up, right? But it could be, it could launch right there. It could happen like the day after, or like it could be a weekend, if maybe there's like a 3-day weekend, kind of like day-long retreat-ish type thing. I'm not sure what it looks like, but something that, so it kicks off. And then you have, it almost feels like, is it a 3-month or a 6-month? It's a 3 or 6 month. That's a sense. I don't know. I'm making things up, right? But there's a certain journey, like there's a weekly component, and then there's like probably a monthly, and then there's the quarterly. It's like it kind of ties in with your networking events. This. Right? Like you could run it every 3 months or 6 months, or, just do it once. Just test it once, keep it light and see how it goes, but kind of test drive it. And so there's the in-person component that really creates the bonds. And then there's the online that helps them keep going. And there are individual relationships, and then there's group stuff, and you can connect in. And then there's the stuff they do on their own, right? Because it's a little bit of everything. You're taking them on this journey that culminates with a celebration kind of thing that would be like in person. And almost like these women are going to showcase what they've done. I almost get that feeling like they get to kind of like testify and show off what they've done. I don't know what that looks like, but it's pretty cool. And it's going to be different for different women because they're not all the same type of business, right? So, and probably some of them will end up like working with each other or forming partnerships. Like all this really cool additional stuff is going to come from it. But their lives are going to completely change. They're going to align. They're going to feel good. They're going to have energy that they didn't know they could have, like all of these things that your one-on-one clients, I'm sure, are experiencing. You get to do it on a journey with them. And it also could become a platform for, because you're experimenting with it, you could start to do it bigger. And I'm just planting a seed. Like, it starts local. And this is beautiful, beautiful pool of women for you to kind of test drive this with. But then it could expand, and you could start doing retreats where people come from out of town. Women come from out of town for a weekend or a week retreat. And then you have the online component, and then you come back, which is what I did for mine. I'm on the East Coast much of the time, and it was on the West Coast of the US where I would go out to these events. And I was happy to do that, because so much of it, I mean, the whole experience was what I was in for, and it was bookended by in-person stuff, real life. And then that could go as big as you wanted. You could grow it bit by bit, right? What do you think?
I think that's great. I think you've beautifully consolidated and clarified a lot of thoughts that have been going, around in my head, and also of just, as you said, like I've got all these like little components of my business, but now it's like, how do I tie it all in together? Because that definitely is what I want to do, and to make these events now, my own. Like I've taken this on, and I want to create my own thing with that, and that's beautiful. So you've definitely kind of pulled in basically lots of things that I had been going, like that end point. I was like, yes, I want it to, we come together, and it's like, let's share our successes. And but really, I love your timeline as well, because I've been really unsure of how to space it out. But I think that you've given me a lot to think about, and I will no doubt after this sit down with my journal, I would say, and start, really nutting out what that could look like.
Yeah. So what would make this, well, first of all, is there anything that would stop you from doing this?
No, I don't think so.
It's happening. Yeah, I get that. I'm like, I'm in agreement. Like, no, it's happening. What would make this even more exciting?
I don't know. Only I can just think of connecting with even more women, that maybe ultimately it doesn't have to be, as you said, it could start off quite localized, but doesn't need to be.
Yeah, which is cool. Is there something you've been wanting to try or experiment with, or something you've been learning about that's new that you haven't really tested yet?
Oh, yeah, there has, yes, sort of. There's been, I guess it would be like a program that, if you came to see me, we spoke earlier about, the naturopathy, and is that still relevant, or, and I think that what I wanted to sort of shift in my business is, I guess if people were coming to see me as a naturopath, I was starting to want to feel like I didn't want to be quite so boxed in with a label, and that what I wanted to create was just a program where actually it's like, just show up and you just tell me what's going on, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, whatever is going, just come and share that with me. And then I can just use all of my different knowledge and skill set to then say, you know, maybe it is relevant to go and have a look at something that's very, you know, naturopathy based, like, you know, maybe do go and have some testing to see where things are at with you physically. Or, you know, maybe there's going to be a lot more of a life coaching aspect to your treatment. And then I also learnt last week a technique. It's a unique technique, but it combines kinesiology with Chinese meridian points and then tapping. And it basically is a way of accessing emotional stresses on a person's body that they may not even be aware of. So it's kind of, I feel like it's another way of peeling off the layers for that person so that they can really step into their power and step into their truth, because, you know, again, a lot of our beliefs and fears can come from like early childhood. So this is a way to get into that subconscious and start to, you know, release some of those things.
So it seems like, I'm wondering if it's not really a shift away from naturopathy for you as much as it is stop being boxed in. Like, so that's not just what you're doing, and that's not the thing. It's like they come to you for you, the experience that Kellie gives them, and naturopathy and this new technique and mindset and coaching and like all of these things, you're going to use whatever. It's more of a custom program depending upon whatever you need, basically, whatever you need.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're all under this umbrella. You're just getting rid of the label, the one of being boxed into, oh, this is what I'm going for. We're just going to do tests. Like, no, actually, it's a journey that includes all of this, like all of these resources. So what if that what if that is a part of this program that you put this is the program, like what we're talking about, that combines the in-person and the online and the coaching, and it's an experience. You don't need a lot of women, I would think, to really do this. It's like we're going to have this exciting journey. It needs what did you say? Peeling off the layers, step into your power and truth. That feels really good. What do these women really want more than anything? Like, what's the thing? Do you know? What is it that they really want?
I think it's like confidence and clarity. You know, I think that particularly if they are super busy and you know, and I think because a lot of women are so torn between business and family and kind of, you know, your mind is being pulled, I guess, in many, you know, different directions. So I think that there are a lot of women who just don't create the space in their lives for themselves to just get clear on what they actually want, and to then also support themselves to become more resilient, which, you know, comes from, you know, looking after your body and making sure that, you know, you're healthy. And also, you know, as we talked about before, like, you know, what's your perception of things? Because, you know, life is just our perception. Sorry about that. Just lost my ears. You know, it is, you know, perception. We could be in the same situation, but perceiving it in a very different way. So I think it's being able to become a more resilient woman, so that these external stresses don't impact you so much, and you can just really feel confident, hold your own. You've got a clear idea of how you want to step forward in life, and you're just doing it. And then you've got your beautiful, you know, support network of women. They're cheering you on, giving you inspiration, letting you know that, you know, you're not the only person who has these thoughts and doubts, and but you can share in your strategies as to how you worked through them. And there's that power of the group that if one woman decides, I'm going to face my fear and I'm going to step up as a speaker, I mean, how inspiring to all the other women in that group. They'll be, they'll go, oh, maybe if she could do it. I heard her in our group session say that she was really, really scared of public speaking, and yet she did it. So maybe I could do that too. That's the kind of environment that I want to create.
Yeah. So I was like kind of wondering around words. It'd be good for you probably to journal about some words that really speak to you. So I like this concept of resilience. I feel like resilience and power, women's resilient, like the resilient woman, because a lot of people talk, there's a word there are words that will be just, they'll speak to you. And when you say them, when you hear them, you're going to be like, oh, like I love these words. Do you know what they are?
No, like I know, yeah, like resilience would definitely,
that one feels good.
be one of them. And I think, inspired, and yeah, like, confident.
Yeah, there's something in that to play around with some words so that you really feel it. I mean, it's not really the words themselves that hold it. It's the energy that you bring with those words. It's like the words sit on top of the energy, right? A lot of people talk about confidence and clarity, passion and purpose, which is wonderful. Just as far as like naming wise, there's something uniquely you. There's something Kellie in this, like there's a Kellie word that needs to belong in there. And I'm not sure what it is because it didn't jump out at me in our conversation yet. Yeah. So what if you just really like journal out what this journey, what this experience would be like? Like tell the story that these women go on, like where they come in, what they experience. It probably, by the way, mirrors your story. Surprise, surprise, right?
Yeah.
Right. What they're going to come out of it with, you can present it as, a beta, but that doesn't mean cheap necessarily. It just means it's the first time you're running it, which means you get extra attention and extra, where it's exclusive.
That's what I just did. Yeah. With a group, but now I'll do it again. Like, so just to test the waters, because it was so new to me. As I said, one, coaching is new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, I'm so used to working one-on-one. So to put something online as a group and coaching, that's essentially what I just did. I just went to that group of women and I said, it's going to be one-off. It's a beta test. I just want to see if the vision that I have for, it does it work? Are people interested, etc.? And I'm running that as we speak.
Cool.
That's happening now.
So all right. So this is not your beta test. This is your like initial launch because you're in the beta test.
Or this is yeah.
Yeah.
This is the new version, but yeah.
Yeah, the 1.0 or whatever it is, right? Like you've already got this. Cool, even better. It's very exclusive. It's only for a certain group of women. You know very clearly what you're after. Like they have to be willing to be vulnerable and also be really supportive and really show up. Like, you can tell them this is who it's for. This is who it's not for. This is what the experience is going to be like. It's going to be different for each one of you. And it's going to culminate with a celebration of your successes. So basically, whatever it is that you'd like to get out of it, we're going to talk about that. See, this is broadened, right? Like this is a little different. Yeah. This is like, there's a bit, and this is right up my alley. I'm like, ooh, stepping into the unknown. Like for you and these women, right? Just show up. Show up with what you got. And you don't know, like you're not promising these specific tangibles at the end because it's going to be different for everyone. But here are the tools you're going to use. Here's who it's for. Here's the environment the container I'm going to create for you. It's going to be a combination of in real life and online. here's the experience you're going to have. This is the journey we're going to be on. The contents are going to be unique to you. And it will culminate with a celebration of your successes, of stepping into your power, of stepping into this you are becoming, this thing you're creating in your life. Yeah, cool. How does that feel?
Oh, like so exciting. And like you've really just nailed it as far as, yeah, like, yes, I do. I just need to sit down and now work out how can all of those aspects tie in together. But I think it could really beautifully. And I think it would definitely be what I was hoping for, as in, I just want people to just come and get to know me and want to work with me because of what I can uniquely offer, and not be, as I said, like sort of pigeonholed into a certain expectation or a certain, just because, another naturopath has done X, Y, Z. That's just not me. Like I'm just me. And I just work in my own unique way. And should you come and see me, and that's something that is an important aspect of you moving forward towards your goals, then yes, obviously I have that skill set and I could bring that into your journey. But for other women, that just might not be the most important aspect. And so I love that idea of being able to just meet people where they're at, and being able to, just take them on that journey and just be able to use my different skill sets to adapt with them as they change through this process.
Yeah, so I'm going to get on my little soapbox for a second here. There are a lot of business experts, marketing people, those people who will tell you that you have to be like super specific and tangible and have your niche and blah, 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 right? Like, and there's value to be had in that because it gives you a focus and it gives you a way to differentiate yourself. However, it is not the only way to do that. There's a certain journey and intention which we have discussed, which you have mapped out. It's pretty clear that where these women are starting and where they end up, right? It's pretty clear what the experience is like, what the container is. And then you've got all these different elements that may or may not appear in their journey, the specific application for them and their problems in their life. Like this is not just for women who basically, broke out of a relationship. This is not just for women who want to break through and make six figures, or women who are, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's the niche is the journey, if it is one. Do you know what I mean? It's specific enough that it's going to call in the women who want to have this type of experience, and you have the tools and skill set and energy that they require for it. But it's also got a lot of freedom. It's got a lot of space for you to go as guided, go with your intuition, flex and meet them as they adapt and change. So you're not locked in to the traditional role as a naturopath or to the traditional role as a coach. Like you can pull on all of these skill sets. You can put on your healer hat. You can put on your coach hat. You can have all of these things. And that's the experience that they're, and the women who show up for that are game for it. Like that excites them. And the ones who need to know exactly what's going to happen along the way and exactly what's going to come out the other end are probably not for you.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely, have a lot more trust, I think, now. I think just as my vision has gotten clearer that, I'm not necessarily catering to everyone, and that's actually like totally fine. Like
Yeah. And this sounds really cool and very different, by the way. I've not heard of someone who's doing something quite like this.
I know, how cool is that?
Very cool, right? And it's
Yeah.
evolving. So this is just like
Mm.
you're already in it. This is like
This
just
is
the
the
next
start.
iteration. Yeah. And it could go any
Yeah.
different direction and you
Could
could
go
have
anywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, cool. Awesome. So, yeah, that's exciting. Anything else?
No, I mean, the only thing that just came to me then, I didn't sort of make it click, but when you asked me before about was there something, a new skill
Mhm.
or something that I had learned and had that been incorporated, there is actually, and yes, I didn't associate it with that when you asked that question. But with that life coaching, you do, we obviously learned that sort of standard, like the different coaching models and all that sort of thing. But it did specialize in sort of like law of attraction principles and that sort of thing. And that, it's been quite interesting. Like when I started this group coaching program, I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really know what that was going to be and how much of that I would bring into it. And I've really just kind of gone with the flow and just sort of seen where things have gone. But it's actually ended up being quite an integral part of it.
Mm.
Um, so that's kind of been interesting as well in that. So that's, I guess, another piece that's coming into this picture.
Is it like a it's like a magical manifesting woo piece in here?
Yeah, like
That's what
totally.
it is? Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. So like all of this, like it
Oh, you let
wants
me
to
get woo-woo.
it wants to be yeah, it so wants to break out of the box. It so wants
Doesn't
to
it?
be
Yeah, like
without labels. Yeah.
without labels.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
yeah, that's very exciting. Cool. Yeah. It feels like a new expression. That's why I was saying like the feeling of it to me is like, oh, there's something new here. Like it wants to be tested. You want to test it. You want to try it. You want to experiment with it.
Yeah.
Like you need to see what it is because we don't know yet. And it's got all these elements, but you need to have permission to use them all. You need to create in a container
Yes.
where Kelly has permission to just do the Kelly thing and
Yeah.
discover what it is. And it sounds like okay, so that's another so that's to journal about like what are all the elements that are in here, and you can be really real about it. Like I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Here's the journey we're on. This is the intention. And I know that when we set a powerful intention, it's like resilience, manifest your life thing, like there are pieces of
Yeah.
that, right? Like because you
Yeah.
don't you don't like it's going to be different for everyone, but it's a journey. It's more like that type of thing. And you can even say like I don't know, kind of like this conversation, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be great. Like we're going to have so much
Yeah.
fun
It's going to be good.
because we're
And
creating it.
you'll come out at the other end, greatly changed. And so I guess I've kind of like I'm sort of treating now, 2020 is like my beta test. It's like my science experiment,
Mhm.
like I'm doing the group coaching and then, obviously I'm going to start doing these events. And it's like, so it's like I'm testing all the things individually so that I can, now and particularly after this conversation, go and say, okay, now how can that all come together in something that's cohesive but uniquely me, that is truly transformative. And I can see just from the women doing this, I did a real condensed short, it's just 8 weeks with them. But already, I mean, it's been crazy, the changes that are happening in their lives and the things that they're manifesting their dream jobs, and it's happening. And I'm like,
Ah,
wow, I've just been
that's it.
working with you for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's the piece. Like it wants this like magical manifesting element. Like I can really feel that. Like
yeah,
let this be. It's time to integrate this stuff. And even though you may not have like technically coaching is new, technically like, okay, I'm just going to poo-poo it a little bit because anyone who has worked in a capacity in relationship, you have done coaching. If you've worked in business, if you've been, naturopathy, you're working with patients. You're working with mindset stuff. You are already coaching. You have life experience in coaching and you happen to have a certification. So you're not really a new coach in that sense. You have so much to offer. Plus all of this other stuff. Yeah, this is going to unleash you. Like the experience that these women are having is the experience that you're having in this. Like it's going to mirror like, holy cow, and amplify. That's another thing that's happening, right, in this group because it's a group thing. It's an amplification of the group intention and energy and like, holy smokes, that's good. That's good stuff.
So you need to go write that down. I love that.
Yeah. Well, you'll have the recording too. So excellent.
Yeah, I'll be listening back. Don't you worry.
Awesome. Cool. So Kellie, what's your biggest insight from this conversation today?
Oh gosh, well, there's probably a few. But I think, I think what's has been really nice for me is just having that, that confirmation, somewhat that permission, that affirmation of like, yes, like, yeah, this is like what I'm striving for is good and, the right thing to go for, and that there's people who need it, and to just, trust in myself, really, that I have something that can be of benefit to other people. Because I definitely would have said, when I stepped into that space of being a new naturopath, I think that I was definitely like almost trying to model other people. Like I didn't know how to be just me or to trust that that was even okay. So that's been, that's great to be able to have shifted out of that and to just go, I don't have to come across as, which, before it was all very, in order to be taken seriously, it has to be very science-based and very almost, medical.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then in this last year, I've just gone, I don't care. I don't care. If you think I'm, I don't really care anymore what you think, actually.
That is a glorious place to be. That truly is. Yeah, as I'm feeling into what you're saying, I'm like, yep. You're ready. You're so ready. Like you're right there.
Yeah.
It feels really ripe to put these elements together now that you've been experimenting with. Like, it, you can feel it. You feel it rising in you that now is the time. If not now, when? And you've got all of this stuff lined up. People are also primed. These women are primed through this holy cow experience we've had in the last few months, right? Between COVID and then I don't know how, it's like the social unrest thing is rippling across the world. It's particularly prominent here in the US, but I'm sure you're feeling it there too because we're global. Yeah. We're global now.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
So all of this is really giving people an opportunity to change and have breakthroughs and transition and manifest new things in their lives, as it is for you, as it is for these. Wow. Yeah. It's a powerful combo. Timing feels good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think people are, I think even like globally, like global consciousness wise, I think that we are really ready to, change, to evolve into the next, whatever the next, thing is. But I think definitely in many aspects of people's lives, I think that this year has been a massive, let's just review everything. Really, hasn't it? It's like, are we really happy with the status quo? Is this where we want things to be anymore? And, and I think that there's that shift now where people are like, well, actually, no. Like, I want something new. I want to create something more peaceful.
Yeah. So there's something in what you said a couple times now that I just want to bring up, because I think this is partly around how you frame it, that we're going to review everything. Like, this is what it reminds me of. Like the word reinvention comes up, but I don't know, that's like a resilience reinvention or something. Like there's something reinventing about it, but it's almost like if your life was a blank slate, what would you have on it? Now is the time to create that. It's like you can let go of the things that you don't want and you can put the things in there that aren't there. And this is the time. That's what we're going to do. It's almost like a reset, reinvention, something. It's got that vibe to it of blank slate. Like we're going to review everything. We're going to honestly look at our lives and see what fits and what doesn't, and where are we going? Where do we want to go? Like, wow, that's a big invitation. And when women show up for that, like,
yeah. Oh, I got the tingles when you said that, so that must be good.
yeah, cool.
But yeah, I think it is like, and feeling empowered to do that. I think that's the difference as well, is I think some people feel like it's not within their scope to make great change. But I really disagree. I think that everything starts with one small step, and whatever good you're bringing to the world, then obviously that's, you use that word amplify before. I really believe in that, and I think that can happen, even though it might not seem like somebody is having a direct direct action towards something. It's actually more an indirect. It's like just shifting how we are as people and just being better people.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Kellie. Thank you so much. And where shall people go to find you? Where should they go to connect with you?
So my website, which is www.Kellie, which is KELLIE, Hansen, HANSEN.com.au.
Awesome. And I will link to that on the page and also in the materials as well. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Kellie. This has been great. And I look forward to seeing how your own journey of creation unfolds. Good stuff.
Great stuff. What a way to start my day. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for joining me for today's Wildspire conversation. If you'd like to receive a weekly Wild Creation email from me filled with more inspiring stories, marketing experiments, playful questions, new podcast episodes, videos and freebies, and anything else I'm playing with, go to theawakenedbusiness.com/wild creation. Until next time, may you know yourself as the gorgeous wild creation you are.